Okay, this is part 2 of our 4 Good Days review. I pushed the wrong button and I cut myself off, which I'm very upset about, but I was just discussing Nicole Kidman. I got on a tangent comparing Glenn Close to some other contemporary lead actresses, but getting back to this movie, I think we can put, this is the traffic, that's what you're hearing. I think we can start putting Mila Kunis in this heavyweights of acting. The opening moments of the film, spoilers, when I see Mila Kunis, of course I think, oh, this is your typical, I'm looking for the Oscar playing the drug addict of the Hollywood starlet. Because Mila Kunis is obviously one of the more attractive or most attractive women that we see on TV and films, and she does those. I was saying that I hadn't seen her in a serious movie, but I've been seeing her in those alcohol commercials for years. But here in this thing, she's obviously playing a heroin addict. And kind of interesting that this movie I'm seeing the day before Mother's Day. And, it makes you think about the bonds that mothers and daughters have, and maybe mothers and their sons too, mothers and all children. But mothers, for the most part, will go through hell and brimstone for their kids. The character that Glenn Close plays has had a few lapses, though. A 2-year situation, which is told in exposition. So there, like a lot of films, there is the story, there's the plot, there's the things that happen before we see them on camera that are alluded to, referenced to. I believe that whole body of the universe of the film is called the story, and what you actually see on screen is called the plot. I could be wrong, but in any event, I liked the movie. Once again, I was the only one in the theater, and I'm getting a little sick and tired of people not going to the movie theater and enjoying these films on the big screen. So get your goddamn shot and go see a fucking movie. This movie also tells you about not only does the heroin affect the individual, the repercussions of ex-husbands and children, spouses, sisters, half-sisters in this case, everyone's lives are affected. The blame game, the character in this film gets addicted, I guess, to opioids, painkillers, when she's 15 or 16 or 17 or whatever, from some type of sports injury. And the mother references that several times, the Glenn Close character. And, in the 2005 era, or maybe earlier, the 2000s, this was a whole opioid epidemic. And I don't know what the status is, but with that, I don't know the statistics, but a lot of people, good people and bad people, I guess, fell by the wayside because of this opioid epidemic. So now we have to say, gee whiz, is it the fault of the epidemic, the fault of the opioids, the fault of the doctors, or is it the personal responsibility? And this movie explores that, but not in a, I'm going to start the engine, don't get upset, not in a documentary way, but in a narrative way, which I always like. The gentleman that played Glenn Close's characters, I can't remember the names of the characters, folks, forgive, but he's been around the block. I kept thinking, was he the guy that played Artie on fucking Larry Sanders Show or not? I don't know. He just has that familiar face. I'm going to try and do this, folks. Don't get upset. The movie explores some hardcore issues. Like I said, it's a pretty intense film. 4 Good Days. The idea being that the Mila Kunis character, the daughter, has to go straight, meaning no drugs, no heroin, for 4 days before she's eligible for this shot. And then, of course, she's got to get help from mom, and they've been through this ringer 14 times earlier. So the question, we kind of go through this process of trying to get her off the drugs and get her safe and get her to get this shot in her ass that's supposed to, block the drugs. The idea being that if she can go a week without drugs, she's eligible for this shot that gets jammed up her ass, and then she can, hopefully get off the fucking drugs. And of course, there's twists and turns and turns and twists. Now I guess I'll tell some personal anecdotes. Not me, because as you know, I'm not a veteran of the heroin trade. I'm not a former drug user, heroin. But no judgment. I will tell a couple of anecdotes, personal anecdotes, that remind me of this film and people that I've known in my real life. Yes, I've known people with troubles. I once had a neighbor across the street. His name was John. This was when I lived in New England. And John was a good guy, a fun-loving gentleman. He was from California. I remember him. He had like this griller thing, like this aluminum fucking slow burner or something, and he would cook turkey out front at holidays, and just a guy that was really a breath of fresh air in the hood, in the neighborhood. And then I started noticing with the poor fellow, he started experiencing some reckless behavior, started selling a lot of his stuff, sold his stove. And the point is, I didn't realize it. This was right around 2005, folks. The poor guy was going through some type of addiction, and I was not familiar with this, so I didn't know what to fucking do. And eventually I think the guy hit rock bottom, and he left the neighborhood, and I didn't know whatever fucking happened to him. But what I did find, I went to a movie. Oddly enough, I went to a movie theater, the IMAX movie theater in Providence Place Mall, and guess what? John came up to me a year later, and he was clean and sober, and he thanked me. I don't know what the fuck I did. I mean, I was trying to be encouraging, but I really didn't do anything. But he thanked me for something. Maybe I gave him a few bucks at the time. I don't even know what the fuck I did, to be honest with you. But he thanked me. He said that he got some medication. He was clean. He looked like he had gained some weight. I would say he looked a little heavier. He gained 30 or 40 pounds of fat, essentially. But I guess those were the side effects he was willing to take on in order to get off this, whatever the fuck drugs he was on, opioids or heroin or whatever the fuck it was. But he was in a good state of mind. And there was a success story. I mean, I really don't know what fucking happened, because he was in the neighborhood one day. He was fine for about a year or two. Next thing you know, he's all fucked up. Next thing you know, he's gone. Don't see the guy for a year. Next time I see him randomly in a movie theater in town, he's on a medication to recover or to get off this whatever the fuck, and he was doing good. So that was a success story. Now, what really struck close to home in this movie, 4 Good Days, for me, was another friend of mine, a female. We'll call her Jill, okay? That's not a real name, but Jill, that was a sad story. When I met this young lady, I met her at a church that I went to a couple of times, and she already had, she was just a friend. She and her sister were going to this church. Jill had a pre-existing kid that was not in the same state with her. She was always like in this constant rebuilding mode of her life, and just always kind of feuding with her parents. Of course, she was a mother. She didn't have custody of her kid. Her kid was far away. There was some story of her once being arrested and being transported on an airplane in handcuffs, something to do with her ex or something. Her sister, she had a sister who also had some troubles, but not nearly as bad. And Jill was always struggling, always struggling with men, with drugs, probably not in that order, probably drugs first, then men, addictions. But I was always impressed by her commitment to God, to Jesus. She always had the faith. Yet it just seemed like she couldn't stay away from trouble. Like she she would do well. She would sign up for groups, you know, like organizations to help her, and she would get the help. She would do well for a while. I remember going to some graduation ceremony somewhere for some group of helping her, and it was a women's, you know, help group. She was always going through this cycle of like getting clean, getting straight, getting work, doing well, and then fucking collapsing apart. And it was frustrating, to be quite frank and honest, because, you know, she was a good person. She meant to have a good life. And then somewhere along the line, she had another kid. And she was a smart person. She was encouraging to me and my interests. But I remember, you know, and we go months or years sometimes without seeing each other. And then we would bump into each other. But it got to be tormentuous to me, because just bumping into her, just kind of having that feeling of, man, what the fuck is she going to be up to? Or is this going to be a bad situation? And look, we weren't that fucking close. So at some point, it's like you put up your own borders and boundaries with people. What can I say? It's just the truth. And then, you know, always hoping that she'd do better, but just getting frustrated that this cycle would continue. And very similar to this film, the character that Mila Kunis plays in the film. And even, you know, that's where I can see where some people fall by the wayside, because, you know, the sad reality, folks, is this. We all want to claim that we have someone, we all want to think that we have someone looking out for us, and that we're somebody's kid or somebody's brother or somebody's sister. The bottom fucking line is this, cold as it might seem, we're all kind of lone wolves and lone wolvesses. We're all out there on our own. You know what I mean? So, and how much of a burden of your own troubles can you expect the world to give a fuck about? You know what I mean? Harsh words, perhaps, but the reality is, today, you know, what did I see this morning? Before 10 o'clock in the morning, I saw two people. This is a Saturday. I saw two people with the homeless signs. And one guy, a guy on a motorcycle, apparently got hit, because I saw a guy on the grassy knoll and his motorcycle and people attending to this guy. Like 5 or 6 cars pulled over to attend to this guy on a motorcycle who got hit. And or fell off his bike. I don't know what the fuck happened. I mean, I was there much later, you know. But the point is, we're all, me, you, and everyone else, we're one misturn, one, hey man, take a shot of this, or hey, you want to sniff of this? We're all one little choice away from disaster, okay? And that's the key word, is choice. Now this movie, this story, which apparently is inspired by true events, that was based on a Washington Post article. I was trying to memorize the director's name. I want to say Rodrigo Garcia directed this, and someone else co-wrote it. The person that wrote the Washington Post article about these two real women, mother and daughter, inspired by, not based on. Okay. So I'm trying to remember everybody's names, but I don't have a photographic memory. This is real life stuff, folks, and I feel like this 2005 issue of fucking pills and shit that leads people to heroin, is this resolved now or not? Probably not resolved, but it just seems like in the United States of America, we just get one fucking problem piled on top of another. First we have 9/11, then we have fucking opioid epidemic, then we get other shit, then we get this and that and that and this. Get off our fucking necks, folks. That's not a George Floyd allusion, meaning reference to. That's just a statement of, can we get a fucking break around here? I mean, can we fucking put some batteries into Ronald Reagan's ass and bring him back to life and save our country and give us some American pride? I mean, Christ. So, I don't know what to say. This fucking movie, I mean, fuck. It feels very close to the bone, very reality based. I will predict an early Oscar contender. It's only May. I will give it possible best support. I mean, it's hard to say because who's the lead actress in this thing? To be honest with you, you could make a case that Glenn Close and Mila Kunis are both lead actresses. I mean, they're both in pretty much every stage of the fucking movie. I think that the way that the Academy, thinks about things, they probably say that Glenn Close is the supporting actress, but she probably has more screen time than the Mila Kunis character. So I'd say you could have them both nominated for Academy Award. I want to think, I could be wrong. Didn't Glenn Close already win an Academy Award for Dangerous Liaison or something of that nature? I don't think she won for Fatal Attraction. I don't know if she was nominated. But I could see Kunis getting her first Oscar nom. Definitely for this. In fact, I would vote for that. So I thought she did great. And pretty deep into the movie, you forget she's the sexy, that 70s girl. You just think, oh man, she's a character here who's going through heroin addiction. So kudos to her. Doing great work. And Glenn Close, I gotta tell you, for some fucking reason, I've been thinking about this. Glenn Close, what a great actress. Of course, if you've been watching all my videos, I discussed, could we have an alternate universe where Glenn Close and Sigourney Weaver traded roles, every role that they did that the other one would do instead. That was just a Mike Messier thought. You can explore that topic. What if Such and Dick traded places with Such and Fuck? What if Kevin Costner and Harrison Ford traded roles their whole career? And this one is what's his fuck, and Sigourney Weaver and Glenn Close. What if Glenn Close had done Alien and Ghostbusters? And what if Sigourney Weaver had done Fatal Attraction, which I think might have been pretty interesting or hot? And what if Sigourney Weaver had done this movie? Who knows? Any fucking way, I would suggest go seeing the goddamn movie. It's an intense one. It's got levity. You're not gonna walk. I mean, there's certain movies that take on these drug addictions that kind of just make you more depressed. For instance, Mickey Rourke and Barfly, or whatever the fuck. When a Man Loves a Woman, blah blah blah. Meg fucking Ryan and Andy Garcia, and then you got Clean and Sober, Michael Keaton. It seems to be a rite of passage for Hollywood actors. Hey, I got to do my Addict movie. You know what I mean? And I guess this is fucking Mila Kunis' Addict movie. Congratulations. You've been the Belle de Jour, you've been the ingenue, you've been the imaginary friend, and now you're the fucking drug addict in the world of character development or character choice. So I applaud the movie. Tap, tap, tap. I enjoyed it. I encourage all of you to go see movies in your cinema. Check your local listings, folks. See if the movie theater is open near you. I can't guarantee any fucking thing. But if you know what? If you live in an area like I do and the movie theaters are open, do me and the entertainment world a fucking favor and go see the goddamn movie. I mean, don't just wait for fucking Netflix and chill bullshit. Go to your goddamn movie theater and see a fucking movie. Help the industry out. Because if you don't support the movies, theaters, then we won't have them. And they'll all be sitting around with our metaphorical dicks in our metaphorical hands saying, gee fucking whiz, we should have supported the film industry while we still had it. Mike Messier. Of course, you can watch Blood Sugar Sedace, my fucking feature film on this YouTube channel for free. You can watch The Impeccable, which is a Cinco de Mayo film, which is pretty close to now. You can see that for free. You can see Disregard the Vampire. Listen to this. A Mike Messier documentary for free. Award-winning, 11 awards. So on and so forth, and so on and so forth. CG has been enjoying the videos. Give a shout out to CG. He's a frequent commenter. Other people, I know what's our buddy there. Carl is looking forward to coming back on. Others have been, expressing themselves. I encourage all to watch the Guidestones videos. The fucking, what's the fuck? The movies, the videos I took of the fucking Georgia Guidestones. Mike Messier, it's the weekend. Enjoy.